that recording to you once we have that up on our webpage. And with that, I'll let Supervisor Coursey make some remarks, and then we'll get started. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohish. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming to our now every other month meeting. And I just want to say right off the bat that we feel like the every other month is what's required right now. But if you get into a situation or a place where you think that we need to go back to monthly, contact me. Let me know what's going on. We'll figure this out. We want to make sure that we're responsive to the neighborhood. Now, on top of that, I need to say, I'm sorry, but I have to be off this call at 6:30. So I'm responsive to a degree tonight, but I'm always available if you need to reach me. chris.coursey@sonoma-county.org. And I or my staff will get back to you, usually in the same day. So really interested in hearing an update on what's going on with the project and from all of you in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Coursey. And with that, I will turn it over to Assistant Director of DHS, Tina Rivera.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you again. Michelle wanted me to send her hellos and condolences that she could not be here. She misses everyone, but still wants to let you know that she is available to you. And please reach out to her if you have any questions or concerns about the project or any of the residents or services that are being provided. Just do not hesitate to reach out to her.
Tina, please say who Michelle is, just in case there's anyone here who doesn't know.
Michelle with DEMA, which is the service provider at the Mickey Zane Place. If you haven't gone by or called, Michelle makes herself available. She's the director of Disaster Emergency Management Associates, which is our service operator for Mickey Zane Place. So if you need to reach out to her, do not hesitate. Currently, we have 51 residents at Mickey Zane Place. There are several success stories. There are now 3 residents who have, made themselves available to secure outside apartments. They moved into Mickey Zane Place, and currently right now, because of construction, it's not been completely transitioned over into permanent supportive housing. So 3 individuals had housing vouchers, and so they connected with our interdepartmental multidisciplinary teams. And on those particular teams who work with the county, they provide all kinds of services and supports. And one of the services and supports that particular team provides is housing navigation. And that housing navigator helps individuals within our county find housing if they have housing vouchers, or if they, have fallen upon housing insecurity type problems. They assist individuals within our county to connect with housing services. So 3 individuals who were living over at Mickey Zane Place had some housing vouchers, and so this housing navigator helped them to find their own apartments. One lady in particular had been chronically homeless for a number of years. She was age 60, and this was her very first home. So we're really excited. The staff threw her a party yesterday to celebrate her accomplishment. And she is just really excited to have moved into her new place. 4 residents recently secured employment. And this was because they have had stable housing at Mickey Zane Place that they were able to secure stable housing. They were able to secure employment, sorry. DEMA has recently operationalized an employment assistance program. And what this particular program does for the residents who are living at the Mickey Zane Place is it helps them to learn how to prepare resumes, how to fill out applications, teaches them interview techniques, assists them with going through that particular process. If they need clothing for their interview, it also assists them in getting clothing so that they can be interview ready. Several of the residents have submitted employment applications and for a variety of places around our county. And many of them have used, so we're really excited about that. The other programs that DEMA has been running, the recreational activities that the residents have been enjoying are underway, and they're going very well. So the residents really are enjoying the connections that they have there. Now the garden, the garden box program that they do, of course, has been on hold because of the construction. And Paul will share about that here in just a minute about where we are with the construction process over at the Mickey Zane Place. So they're really excited because the weather has been really nice and they want to be able to go out and enjoy. So they're really looking forward to having some outdoor space to be able to work in the garden and put those garden boxes together. So they're looking forward to that. DEMA has collaborated with a local nonprofit. He has a mobile veterinary service. And so what he's been doing is going out to Mickey Zane Place and providing vet services for all of the resident animals who are staying at the Mickey Zane Place. So he provides the shots, any registration, just gives the checkups to the pets who are there at the facility. So, this has just really been an invaluable service for the residents as well as the animals. So all the resident animals are registered, they're doing well, and they have someone who comes and checks on them on a regular basis. So this is just really just a value add for the Mickey Zane Place. I'm happy to report that all of the residents at Mickey Zane have been vaccinated fully. They've received their first and second dose of vaccine for COVID-19. I don't know if many of you know, we have had some challenges with parking because of the construction. We do want to ensure that we are good neighbors. So Michelle, as well as the teams the medical teams and the social workers who do come out to see the residents, we're working hard to ensure that we put mitigating measures in place with respect to the parking. So we're looking at parking passes even for those who are coming on site to see the residents, our social workers, etc. So we'll ensure that we keep a tight eye on parking, any parking issues. If you see that that's an issue, don't hesitate to continue to reach out to us and let us know if that's worrisome or if that's a problem. So with that, I believe that's the end of my update, and I'll turn it back over to you, Rohish, and just open it up if you have any questions or concerns.
Yeah,
Actually,
can I just jump in here for a minute? Because I do have to leave at 6:30. I'm not sure where we are on the agenda, but I'd like to give the neighbors a chance to let me know if they've got any particular concerns before I have to jump off the phone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're a small group, so if anyone wants to ask a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Yeah.
I can get the ball rolling. This is Eric Frazier across the street over at Greater Cherry Street Neighbors. And so the only thing that's come up is just recognition that the building is a bit of a gateway building. And so there's a question about when the existing hotel sign is going to be removed so that it doesn't bring people's attention to what clearly is not a hotel or motel. I assume you're doing it simultaneously to installing some other signage for the Zane Place itself. We're hoping perhaps that the sign's not going to be that large. But generally, you know, aside from the sign, I think our neighbors are recognizing that there's been no issues with the assimilation into the community broadly. And we also appreciate how you've really provided a lot of support services to the neighborhood in addition to your residents. So I do want to acknowledge that. Also want to acknowledge that Supervisor Coursey's here on the scene and available as well. So that's what we're hearing across the street, but I think there's others on the call here that are right next door. So we certainly want to hear about any impacts that they might have. But the sign did catch our attention. Thank you.
Thanks for that acknowledgement, Eric. And I also wanted to just follow up on Tina's report for just a minute, because, you know, people are going from here into housing. People are getting jobs because they're here. People are getting vaccinated because they're here. Dogs and cats, you know, this is a full service place, but can staff answer a question about the timeline on signage there?
Yeah, and Paul's here and he can speak to this, the signage.
You bet. Supervisor Coursey and Thomas, the sign is going to come down within the next couple of weeks. We're going to take down the canopy that's over the existing entrance and replace it with something that's more residential in style. And at that time, we'll take down the hotel sign and we're going to put up a temporary banner for Mickey Zane Place, because the design of the permanent signage is going to take a little bit more time. So a couple of
Thanks,
weeks.
Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say that I haven't encountered anything untoward with any of the residents or anything to do with the Mickey Zane Center, but this morning I was stunned and honestly depressed to see that, and again, I don't hold any of the residents responsible, but at the southern end of the block on B Street, at 600 B Street, which is the SEIU headquarters, I want to see if you can see this image. No, you can't. There is trash just scattered all in the front steps of the SEIU Center. It's food, it's organic matter, it's a lot. And I am appalled and depressed by this. This is right across the street. Normally there would be a lot of people at the SEIU, but it's closed right now. And there's also a homeless gentleman living on that would be the south side of the building. Again, I'm not questioning anyone's, it's not about individual human beings. It's just that this is the worst thing that I was worried about happening. And I don't hold the Zane Center at all responsible, but it's there. The trash
Sure.
is there.
Yeah.
And it's organic. I mean, it's gonna rot. And I don't know who to call. Who in the city
So
handles that?
I have an answer for you on that, Mr.
Okay.
Drain. And thanks for bringing it up. And thanks for understanding that not every problem in the neighborhood is going to be attributable to this project. You know, this is
No.
this is something that I deal with in my neighborhood. I live close to downtown. But you can call, you can actually put an app on your phone if you're into that kind of thing,
Yeah.
called My Santa Rosa. And you can report this. You can take a picture. You can put a pinpoint on a map to show them exactly where it is.
Okay.
And I have found that that's the best way to deal with stuff like this, because you know, unfortunately there's lots of trash that gets dumped around the city. There are lots of, you know, public works problems that get reported every day. But this is the fastest and best way to report those kind of things that I know of.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll pursue this and see if I can get this working. So, yeah.
And
Okay.
thanks,
I put a
Rohish, for,
link to that
yeah.
in the chat.
right.
Thank you. Okay.
Let me also say, with Mr. Drain's comments, that the reason I get over there is I walk our dog Bello frequently around that neighborhood. And I have noticed, just like right adjacent to your building and even across the street against the restaurants that's closed, that there does seem to be an accumulation of trash. And as Chris pointed out, this is just sort of like typical, in an urban environment to some degree. But it does sort of raise the question of, like, as you're assimilated into the neighborhood, does the staff actually have the task of picking up that trash that's like on your property, adjacent to your property, within sight line of your property? I mean, is that part of it? Is that an expectation we should have? And probably hand in hand with that also is one of my pet peeves, and that's irresponsible dog walkers who leave dog waste behind. And I've noticed there's also sort of a strip there, of course, under construction now, where it seems like, all it takes is a couple people habitually allowing their dogs to lay waste there. And that seems to be a problem. So is there something there that you guys are doing, or is there something you're going to step up after construction to address those issues?
Eric, I want staff to answer your question, but I want them to pull the boundaries in a little bit. I don't know if you can hold people
Sure.
responsible for things within sight of their property, because
Yeah.
that could be the neighbor's property.
Right.
It could be the city's property. But before I have them answer your question, I just want to make sure that we get a chance to hear from other people who also might have questions. I want to make sure everybody has a chance here, and then we'll come back to that.
So I have a question, actually follow up on that, a couple follow-ups. Back in February, when it was, when residents were reporting that there was trash on the periphery around the building, Michelle said that they would take care of that, and that would be something they would send their janitorial service out to take care of and watch for. So I think we've already had that conversation, and maybe it isn't happening. So that might be something that maybe staff can reach out to Michelle and have her reiterate to the janitorial service that maybe they should take a walk around and see what's going on, because I believe a fair amount of cars park over in the restaurant area. And so it could also be coming from people who are displaced with their cars because of the construction, and the trash could be coming from that. So hopefully that can go back on the top of the list for something to be addressed. And I would say, in regards to what's going on with the SEIU, and then across the street at the church offices, we have a couple of chronic homeless people housed there by themselves. They're not housed, actually, taking shelter there on a very regular basis. Last time we had a conversation with Michelle, she was like, well, give me their names. But honestly, if you walk down that area any morning before even 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 to 9 o'clock, you will find these people camped out at the SEIU and on the church office steps. The church doesn't have the money right now to fence off their steps, and it does seem like a logical dotted line to having this facility in our neighborhood, that maybe we could get some outreach to these people so that they can take residence in the Hotel Azura and not be chronically living on the streets, since they do appear to be the same people on a regular basis.
So I know that staff will have a more detailed answer than I do on that, but the Hotel Azura can't be responsible for every homeless issue that's going on in downtown Santa Rosa.
Yeah, and we understand that.
I want us to be good neighbors, and staff knows that I want us to be good neighbors. I think that Tina, will definitely talk to Michelle about the trash issue on the property and ask her to talk to, or instruct her to talk to her residents about if they're parking across the street to be respectful of the neighborhood as far as trash goes. As far as people sleeping at the church or at SEIU, I know that it would be great if we could take care of that, but that's not part of Michelle and Dima's contract to do that right now. Tina and Rohish may be able to give you some contacts at the county or at the city, the host team at the city, to deal with that kind of stuff. But we have to understand that this is a distinct project that does not take care of all the problems in downtown Santa Rosa. And
Yeah.
I wish it did.
So
but it
thanks,
doesn't.
Supervisor Coursey. Yeah, I totally get that. Listen, if we thought you could take care of all the problems, we'd be talking about Morgan Street right now. But
Well, and if we could take care of all the problems, we'd be getting a Nobel Prize.
yeah, exactly. But I guess I'm curious since you've increased the population in the hotel by about 10 people since the last time we got a count, I'm curious how if you're going to outreach. I know there was a lot of talk when this was going through the process that this was going to help our neighborhood and help the homeless in our neighborhood. And yet I'm curious if anybody from our neighborhood living on the streets in our neighborhood is in the hotel right now. And what is the future for the potential of that happening? Where are you getting the additional people that you've added to living at the hotel?
Well, my understanding is that people who are living at the hotel are there because they are COVID vulnerable. I don't know if they include anybody from the neighborhood, Denise, but you also may recall that I wasn't the one making those promises back then. But the idea of this is to take care of COVID vulnerable folks who have health conditions, who are over a certain age. That's the qualifications that I know of. They're not defined by neighborhood boundaries.
That's correct. Yes, and those individuals, would have come from our non-congregate sites. They would have transferred from those sites. They would not have come directly from, off the street, so to speak. These individuals who are in the hotel or Mickey Zane Place or the Sebastopol Inn, these are individuals who are ready for housing, who are ready for this transitional step, who have been housed for a while. These are COVID vulnerable individuals who fall into that particular scope. They land on that particular VI SPDAT. That's a whole different behavioral health conversation. But they are also within the criteria of being ready for this transition period for housing, because this ultimately will be permanent supportive housing.
So Denise, I'm sure you have a follow-up, but I want to make sure that there aren't any others in the meeting that want to ask questions before I have to jump off. And I'm just realizing that the prism in my window is giving me a rainbow beard, or maybe it's even a Cinco de Mayo. I see some red and green there. Anyone else have a question? And if not, we can go back to Eric and then Denise after that. So Eric, do you want to chime in? You were asking about trash responsibilities.
Well, right. And Denise sort of picked up on it. I just posted something in the chat as well. So it's just sort of the premise of how the center was and is a good neighbor in the broader context. And so pretty much everybody on this call, I think, is associated with neighborhood associations and are also good neighbors. And we put ourselves out frequently to pick up trash that isn't ours, or to take care of this issue or that issue without calling the city. And so my question was really one more of like, well, the commitment was to be a good neighbor. So if the trash is adjacent to your property, are you guys just going to pick it up? I can understand that there's trash that accumulates in the construction type site. But we certainly don't expect you to solve all the problems downtown. But we were very helpful and are considerably excited about how your role there is to help us bridge some of these issues that we deal with in the urban environment, whether it's homelessness or whether it's trash or parking or all these types of things.
Yeah.
And because you guys are a government unit, we would hope that you guys would have perhaps a little bit of an inside track or can direct us to the right places when we do need government involvement. That's all. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Well, it's, as I was talking about, it's not part of the contract, but I think it would be worthwhile to see if Michelle thinks there might be any kind of appetite among the residents there to form some kind of a neighborhood beautification committee, or, to actually become part of that neighborhood and have that feeling going on there.
We'd love that. Yeah,
I think
Absolutely.
that would be great for
Mhm.
everybody involved.
sure. Staff too, staff, residents.
Right, and I can speak to that. Now, again, we want to be cognizant of some of these individuals do have health challenges. So not all of them would be, would be physically able to be a part of that. But absolutely, I know those who can will be. But I was on the call when the issue was raised that there was a trash pile. And during that particular call, Michelle immediately during the call sent staff out, the maintenance staff out to locate the trash pile that was in question. And it was removed immediately during the call in real time. So we have a fantastic maintenance staff who have absolutely no problem locating or identifying any perimeter trash around the site and ensuring that things are kept up, and that's not even an issue. So we are absolutely will look to continuing to do that. So certainly we have no problems partnering with our neighbors and doing so.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Anyone else with any concerns or questions for me? I'm sorry, again, I'm going to have to jump off, but I think that Paul has an update on what's going on with construction. And again, if things come up that you need to ring my bell on, you've got my information. I think Rohish put it in earlier in the chat.
Yeah, you should all have Supervisor Coursey's email.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
All right, Paul, do we have an update on construction we can give the group?
Yes, Rohish, construction's going pretty well. The most important thing will be that the parking lot will be available for residents and employees to park very soon in the next probably week, so that the parking issue won't be as chronic. I wish I could share with you the pictures of the dog run area. There's a pretty impressive area for the dogs to be able to exercise and run and not be outside doing their business, as it were. So it's coming along really well. We're looking at complete exterior site construction being wrapped up here in the month of May. There might be some work around the entrance to the building. We have to order some new doors that will slip into June, but we'll have the site ready. And then the landscaping, one of the things that I heard people talk about was that people have their pets relieve themselves along the strip of next to the sidewalk that is right now is dirt. And that'll all be landscaped as part of the project. So I think that problem will go away once we've completed the work. And I hope everybody likes what they see. The wall will be painted and planted, so it'll become a much less imposing structure for those of you that live in the neighborhood. It's going to be painted with a color that'll blend in, and then there'll be a landscaping along the entire ground cover of the strip between the sidewalk and the wall will be landscaped. So that's the construction update. I did want to say on Tina mentioned it, but we have crews that go around and do site janitorial, and I've just made sure that they go outside the site and pick up the trash all the way around the site, even on the sidewalk, so that we address that problem. So that's my update.
Thank you, Paul. And if anyone else has any questions, please feel free. I believe that's all our updates for tonight. We're here to answer questions. Feel free to unmute yourself. We're a small group. I'm not hearing anyone. If that's it, then Eric, did
Rahesh,
you have,
Rahesh,
Paul?
this is Paul. I go by there 2 or 3 times a week, and when I was there, there was a cleanup crew from somewhere with vests picking up trash at Cafe Mimosa. That might have been a city sponsored effort. So it would just happen to be there, and we'll do everything we can to encourage everybody at Mickey Zane Place to participate in the neighborhood cleanup. One of the things that Michelle maybe she didn't tell Tina, but several of the residents have become employed by DEMA, and they actually work on site doing the some of the work around the site. So we'll make an extra effort to be sure that they take care of the, everything next to the property, so that we do become a good neighbor, as you said. We'll do everything we can.
Paul, this is Eric Fraser again. In addition to your property, at least on the greater Cherry Street neighborhood, and I imagine other neighborhood groups as well too, we certainly want to, especially as we get out of the COVID era, hopefully sooner than later, we want to welcome people that live there into just neighborhood building activities that may be going on in our neighborhood. I know we have progressive dinners, for instance, and we anticipate doing tree plantings and more beautification. And so we certainly wouldn't mind. I mean, there's this larger context, I think, is what the theme of this discussion is this evening, and about, how we can all contribute to the tapestry of the neighborhood. And that's so I don't mean to pick on your particular building or lot, but it's great, Paul, that you have a clarification of what your responsibilities are. A lot of homeowners don't realize that they're responsible actually for all the way to the curb on the property. So it includes that green strip, and working together really is the only way to embarrass these dog walkers that leave their mess behind. So it's pretty ridiculous. But we all sort of have to work together to fight these blight oriented challenges. And certainly over in that area, they've had their share of negative impacts. And so that was really the spirit of just wanting to make sure that we have a great stage for your own efforts, greater efforts, and of course, coordination with the city and the county as necessary. Thank you.
We're going to impress that on everybody, and we want to be good neighbors and part of that wonderful neighborhood. It's such a wonderful neighborhood. It's got such great historic character, and I know why everybody that lives there is proud of it. It's just incredible.
Thank you.
And great people living in it.
All right. If there's any last questions, I think we can all say goodnight, but we can stay here if there are any questions.
So the next meeting will be at in July. Let's see, June, July.
First week of July.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
We'll be having a grand opening before then, I expect, that
Okay.
most of you will be invited to.
All right. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. We appreciate
you,
you all
guys.
coming. And we look forward to seeing you again in July. Take care.
Y'all have a good night.
You
Night.
too.